Hello children, good morning. So dear students, in the previous class we discussed the transpiration pull. So continuing the transpiration in today's class. So the transpiration driven ascent of xylem sap. Transpiration driven ascent of xylem sap. See, transpiration driven the ascent of xylem sap. Already we know that what is ascent of sap. So what is this ascent? Ascent of sap. So the transpiration driven means what? There is a drive, there is a pull, there is a suction force that is created by transpiration, due to which the sap in the xylem is ascent in upward direction from roots to the tip of the plant body, to all the parts of the plant body, in the upward direction of the movement of the xylem sap. In the xylem, the sap, already I said, the water with less than 1% of dissolved inorganic salts along with the hormones and some acids, etc. All these constitute the sap, xylem sap. So the movement of this xylem sap in what direction? From upside to down? No, it is from down to up. So ascending in the upward direction, there is a movement. Why this movement in the upward direction occurs? What makes the movement of the sap in the xylem? So it is due to transpiration. So the transpiration creates a pulling force. That pulling force is called as the suction force. So due to which the water moves continuously within the xylem. It is sufficient to move the water up to 130 meters. 130 meters means what? So you can multiply 3.23 feet into 130. So it nearly 3 to 400 feet movement of water and inorganic salts occurs in the xylem. In such a tall plant, this pressure or this force is enough to supply the water from root to the tip of the plant body. So that is the transpiration driven ascent of xylem sap. So ascent of xylem sap means what? Movement of xylem sap. Movement of xylem sap in upward direction. So that is ascent of sap. In the sap, in the xylem, it consists of water. So maximum amount of water less than 1% of the inorganic salts. Understand? Inorganic salts, certain hormones, certain acids, etc. are present that constitute the sap. So the transpiration driven ascent of sap mainly depends upon what? It mainly depends upon the physical properties of water. Physical properties of water. So now, what are the physical properties of water? This ascent of sap mainly depends upon these physical properties. We know what are the physical properties of water. One, very important, cohesion. So what is cohesion? It is the mutual attraction of the water molecules between them. So that is cohesion, mutual attraction of water molecules. So the attraction between the water molecules, mutual attraction of water molecules occurs, that is called as the cohesion. The next property, that is adhesion. What is adhesion? So the adhesion means attraction of water molecules to the polar surfaces. Attraction of water molecules. Attraction of water molecules to the surfaces, or wherever they move to the polar surfaces. So within the xylem, the water molecules will move, and to these polar surfaces they will adhere. So this property of the water molecules adhering to the polar surfaces, that is the adhesive property. Adhesive we know, no? So that is adhesion. Next, the third one is the surface tension. Children, very important, the physical properties of water: adhesion, cohesion and surface tension. So water molecules are attracted to each other in liquid phase than in the gaseous phase. So water molecules, that is surface tension. In the liquid phase, the water molecules has more attraction between them than in the gaseous state. So in the gaseous state, when the water molecules becomes vapor, what happens? So they are not mutually attracted. They move randomly in different direction. So in liquid phase, they mutually attracted, they remain together. That is, the mutual attraction is there in between the water molecules. Water molecules are attracted. What is surface tension? Water molecules are attracted with each other in liquid phase rather than in gaseous phase or in a gaseous state. So in gaseous phase or in gaseous state, they are not mutually attracted. So in liquid phase, they are mutually. These properties makes a continuous water column, that is in the xylem. A continuous water column is built up in the xylem without any breakage. The water continuously moves in the xylem. So it is enough to transfer the water continuously to different parts of the plant body. These properties makes, along with the transpiration pull makes, so it creates a pulling force, due to which, so think that when you take a rubber tube, and one end of the rubber tube you put it into the bucket containing water, and just you suck another end of the rubber tube, keep in your mouth and suck the water. So from the bucket the water will come to your mouth. Why? So it is due to a pulling force created by you. Got it? So that the water from the bucket moves through the pipe and reaches your mouth. Understand? So without any breakage, without any gap. So that pull, you pull the water through the pipe. That pipe is nothing but the xylem. The bucket of water is nothing but the soil reservoir. So through which the water is absorbed by the xylem. So that pulling force, you sucked the water, that is nothing but the leaf. In the same thing, in the leaf this process happens, due to which the tension is created all along the length of the xylem, and finally it reaches the root. So the root will absorb the water and it is transported in the xylem. Children, I think understood these 3 points, and these properties gives what? A tensile strength and also high capillarity for the movement of water. These properties gives a tensile strength and also it gives high capillarity So tensile strength is given and high capillarity is given. What is capillarity? It is ability of the water molecule to rise in the small tubes. That is capillarity. Capillarity means, so the ability of the water to rise in the small tubes, that is called as capillarity. So these properties give high tensile strength and also high capillarity for the water. So for photosynthesis, you see, the water is very much essential. If there is no water, then the photosynthesis get limited. Understand? So photosynthesis requires water. Why this water is required to the plant body? To maintain turgidity of the cells, to maintain the temperature for cooling, and also for the transfer of the hormones from one part to somewhere they get synthesized and they have to be transported to some other parts. So for the transfer of the hormones, for the transfer of the mineral salts, the water is very much essential, and also for the movement of the food molecules, the water is essential. So mainly certain metabolic reactions that occurs within for enzymatic synthesis, the water is essential, but only a little bit amount of water is utilized for photosynthesis and for the metabolic activities. So for photosynthesis, the water is required. So why the water is required for photosynthesis? Do you have any idea? Where the photosynthesis, this water is utilized, in which part, in which system, what happens to these water molecules? So you will come to know when we discuss about the photosynthesis chapter. So this photosynthesis requires water, no? So that's why along with the water, many of the inorganic salts are also transported, mineral ions are also transported. These mineral ions are required for various metabolic activities. Even for photosynthesis, the mineral ions are required. So the chlorine is required, the Mn is required, manganese is required. So the zinc, cobalt, manganese, iron, molybdenum, all these are where they are present. They are present in the soil in the form of reservoir. So they are absorbed by the roots along with the water. And whichever the reaction that requires these mineral ions, they have to be supplied to that part, and they will take part in the different process. So what force makes the water molecules to move into the leaf? Where the photosynthesis occurs? In the leaf, no? In the leaf, the photosynthesis occurs. So what makes the movement of water? Movement of water into the leaf, from the roots to the stem and from stem to the leaf. What makes? Which is the force that is involved in? So as water evaporates, so there is a mechanism to explain this, no? As water evaporates, from where the water evaporates? From the stomata. Where these stomatas are present? On the epidermis. So epidermis, which epidermis? The leaf epidermis has more number of stomata. So the water will enter through the xylem and finally reaches the veins of the leaf and veinlets, and these veinlets get end into the mesophyll tissue. You know the mesophyll cells, mesophyll tissues, they are nothing but the parenchyma cells, modified parenchyma cells that contain the chloroplast. So the water moves into the mesophyll cell. The mesophyll cells get turgid. Within the mesophyll cell, what is present? The chloroplasts are present. There the photosynthesis occurs. A thin film of water gets surrounded over these cells. When they start evaporating, when the stomata open, when the light falls on the leaf, when temperature increases, a thin film of water vapor will be present on the mesophyll cells. When the stomata open in the intercellular spaces, and also in the air space the water vapor will be more. So this water vapor, when the stomata open, will diffuse into the atmosphere. Why? Because in the atmosphere the water vapor concentration is less when compared to the interstellar spaces or the air space that is present in the stoma. So air chambers are present, interstellar spaces are present where the water vapor is more when compared to the atmospheric water vapor. So the water vapor diffuses from higher water vapor concentration to lower water vapor concentration into the atmosphere. When the water start evaporating from the interstellar spaces, so this force or this pulling effect that is created due to evaporation of water reaches the nearby xylem in the leaf, that is in the veins, and that tension is transferred to the next lower part of the xylem in the branches, and finally it reaches the stem, and finally that reaches the root. So the root start absorbing the water. So due to this tension or a force or a pull that is created due to evaporation of the water in the cells of the mesophyll and also interstellar spaces, understand, and the stomal chamber is there, no, there the evaporation when occurs, the cells start drawing the water from the nearby xylem, and that tension moves into the next part of the xylem in the stem, and finally it reaches the xylem of the root, and the root start absorbing. So this, as water evaporates, a thin film of water, a thin film of water, so on the surface of the cells a layer, thin film of water means what? A thin layer of water over the cells, a thin film of water over the cells is continuous. So over the cells is continuous. So what happens? It results in pulling force. So when there is a continuous water evaporation, it results in the pulling force. So the pulling force of water makes movement of water molecule by molecule. Pulling force makes water, pulling force makes water to move molecule by molecule, molecule by molecule. So one molecule after the next molecule, it start moving into the leaf, into the leaf, into the leaf from the xylem. Okay, so see, this is the thing that it is a leaf. Okay, here the cells are present, and around the cells a thin film of water start evaporating. So here the stomas are present. So this water evaporates, create a force, no, that is reached the xylem that is present in the midrib and also in the veins, and the leaf through the petiole, it is attached to a small branch. So here also the xylem is present in the petiole, it reaches the petiole xylem, and from the petiole into the branch, and from the branch into the main branch. So in the branch also there is a xylem. These xylem combine into a larger vessels and tracheae that are present in the main branch, and finally it reaches the root. So that pulling force makes the movement of water molecules in the xylem. Okay, so here now the lower concentration of water vapor in the atmosphere. So usually in the atmosphere, except in the rainy season, the water concentration will be very less. So when compared to the leaf internal surface or interstellar space, the water vapor concentration in the atmosphere is less. So the water start evaporating from the leaf into the atmosphere. Why? Because within the leaf, in the interstellar spaces and in the stomatal chamber, you come across more water vapor concentration than atmosphere. So the water start diffusing from higher water vapor concentration to lower water vapor concentration by simple diffusion. So by simple diffusion, water vapors diffuse from the leaf into the atmosphere. Understand why? Because the atmosphere has less water vapors. So these pressures are sufficient to lift the water in the xylem. So these pressures are enough for the movement of the water. These pressures are created, no, the pulling force that is enough to move the water up to 130 meters. How many meters? 130 meters of water within the xylem. So there is one diagram to explain this. Just I will draw to explain how the water evaporates from the leaf mesophyll into the atmosphere and how the water is drawn from the xylem into the leaf. Children, this physical property of water is very important, and also we shall discuss about this thing, anti-transparents. So this is the epidermis of the leaf. Leaf consists of upper surface and also the lower surface, isn't it? And here the lower epidermis. So the leaves are covered by what? The leaf epidermis. They are covered by cuticle, isn't it? So this layer is cuticle. Cuticle means it is a waxy coating on the leaf epidermis to avoid wetting of the leaf and also to avoid excess transpiration. See, here the bundle sheath, and within that the vascular bundles are present. Just I will draw it in the rough manner. Later on you can copy it by seeing the text. So here you can see the green cells, they are nothing but the chloroplast cells, and inside which you can see the xylem. And the xylem, here the phloem. And these are some of the cells. Okay, so now here the mesophyll tissue will be there, the chloroplast. See the one side, the mesophyll cells are arranged very loosely. So here the stoma, that means the stomata, and the loosely arranged cells are present. In dicot, you can see this type of arrangement of the mesophyll cells. On one side there is a compact arrangement of the mesophyll cell. So what are these mesophyll tissue are differentiated into two types, you know. So on the upper side, where the compactness, there is no any gap in between the mesophyll cells, what they are called as palisade, isn't it? So these tissues, mesophyll tissues, which consist, these are the chloroplast. So the chloroplasts are present in borders. That's why the upper surface of any dorsiventral leaf can look dark in color than the lower surface. So here on the lower surface towards the lower epidermis, there is loosely arrangement of this mesophyll cells, you know. They are called as the spongy parenchyma. Upper one, the palisade parenchyma. So here the epidermis do not contain any chloroplast, but the guard cells consist of the chloroplast. Understand? So now all these are the chloroplast. You can see a thin film. On the lower surface there is maximum number of stomatas. Here when you observe the textbook diagram, you see a blue colored, just a thin layer is formed around the cells. They are nothing but a thin film of water that surrounds the mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells are what? They are nothing but the parenchyma cells. So a thin film of water gets around. So I am showing this thin layer in a light manner. No, that is a thin film of water vapors that gets around, and these are the large air gaps or the intercellular spaces. So now see this. What is this? Palisade cells. Palisade parenchyma we call it as parenchyma. And what is this? Spongy parenchyma. Palisade parenchyma, spongy parenchyma. So what is this? Stomatal pore. Stomatal pore. Here you can see the diffusion of water vapor into surrounding air. So what is this? Xylem. And what is this? The phloem. So it is cuticle. It is upper epidermis. Upper epidermis. So what is this? It is lower epidermis. Lower epidermis. So the large air spaces in between the cells. Air spaces in between the cells. So how the evaporation occurs and how it is diffused? See, a thin film of water vapors gets around the mesophyll cells. They are nothing but the parenchyma cells. From where this water came? Here from the xylem. It is a leaf, no? In the leaf, the veins are present. In the veins, you come across a small thin xylem vessels are also present. From the xylem, the water is drawn into these cells. From the cell, the water moves into these cells. Cell to cell movement of water occurs. When stomata opens, the water start diffusing into the surrounding air. Why? Because here within the chamber or in the air spaces, so in the interstellar spaces, there is more water vapor. When the stomata open during the daytime, the water diffuses into the atmosphere through the stomatal pore. Then what happens? When the water start diffusing into the atmosphere, the cell will absorb the water from the next cell, and this tension or that force transferred into the nearby cell. From this cell, the tension is transferred into the leaf xylem. From the leaf xylem, the tension is transferred into the midrib. Within the midrib, the xylem is present. No? From the midrib, it transferred into the petiole. From the petiole to the small branch where the leaf is attached. From that branch to the main branch. And from that main branch, finally that tension or the pulling force reaches the root and the root start absorbing. So there is a continuous tension is transferred. So it makes the continuous movement of water molecules. Here the water moves by molecule into the spaces, and molecule by molecule the water is absorbed from the neighbor cell. So the water, after this, it absorbs the water from the cell, and this cell absorbs the water from the neighbor cell, and finally it reaches the xylem. From the xylem, it reaches the stem, from the stem to the root. So this is how the water is transported and water is transpired due to the pulling force that is created here, no, and finally reaches the xylem. All along the length, the water continuously moves. So not only this, along with this, the properties of water makes a continuous water column within the xylem. There are many objections came for this movement of xylem, because inside which we can see the air bubbles. The air bubbles can obstruct the movement of water, you know, but it is widely accepted method that pulling force that is created in the leaf makes movement of water within the xylem in the upward direction. Okay, children, you practice this diagram. It is very important. Next, anti-transparents, one that is extra thing that is not given in the textbook. Anti-transparents. What are these anti-transparents? Anti-transparents means to prevent the excess transpiration. Some compounds are applied on the aerial parts of the plant, on the leaf, so that they are called as these compounds which prevent the loss of water. They prevent the transpiration. They are called as anti-transparents. Anti-transparents. Anti means against transpiration. They function. They prevent the loss of or excess of transpiration is prevented. So they are called as anti-transparents. What are these? These are nothing but some compounds. When they are applied over the leaf, when they are applied on the leaf surfaces, when they are applied on the leaf surfaces, they prevent the transpiration. So there are certain compounds where only the transpiration is prevented, but diffusion of gases is not prevented. Photosynthesis can occur. You can ask the question. So if these are applied, how can the photosynthesis, how can the carbon dioxide and oxygen are excited? Carbon dioxide is very essential for photosynthesis, you know, but the carbon dioxide transfer and oxygen transfer is not disturbed. Only the water vapor, loss of water is prevented by applying this. So to prevent excessive loss of water, these are applied over the leaf. What are these? Like abscisic acid, we call it as ABA, abscisic acid. So if you spray abscisic acid over the leaf, it blocks the stomata. That is, loss of water vapor is prevented, but through which the carbon dioxide diffusion is not disturbed. So abscisic acid. Next one is aspirin is there. Aspirin abscisic acid, even the carbon dioxide, when the waxes are applied, so silicon oil, abscisic acid, aspirin, spraying of carbon dioxide, spraying certain waxes. So these do not prevent the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen, but they prevent the evaporation, transpiration is prevented, loss of water is prevented. So all these are called as anti-transpirants. Now we shall discuss. If you want, you can copy the diagram or else copy from the textbook. Transpiration and photosynthesis, a compromise. Transpiration and photosynthesis. So what is the role of this transpiration in photosynthesis? Now let us discuss one by one. So the transpiration plays an important role in supplying water. So it creates, first thing, transpiration creates transpiration pull, isn't it? So by which sufficient amount of water is absorbed from the roots, and it is involved in transportation of minerals through the water to different parts of the plant body. Transpiration creates the transpiration pull. This pull is very much essential for sucking the water. So water is not pushed, water is pulled. So this creates transpiration pull, that is very much essential for absorption of water and also for absorption of mineral salts from the soil by the roots. So it supplies water. Next thing is it supplies water for what? For photosynthesis. Photosynthesis requires water. So when the water get limited, the photosynthesis also limited. So when there is no sufficient amount of water, then the photosynthesis becomes limited. The food manufacturing gets limited. Limited means what? Decreases. So that is supply water. What supplies? This transpiration supplies water for photosynthesis. So photosynthesis require water. How the oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis? How these energies NADP, H, they are synthesized? So that is because of water. Later on we will discuss in photosynthesis. So the transportation of the minerals from the soil. So it transport the minerals from soil. So for absorption of these mineral ions, water is very much essential. So along with the water only, these mineral ions are absorbed and they are transferred. Understand? So that actively or passively these mineral ions are absorbed. Through the water they are transported to different parts of the plant body. That is one thing. Even the photosynthesis require these mineral ions. I said no, chlorine is required, Mn is required. So by which the splitting of water, all these occurs. Transport of the minerals. Transport the minerals from soil. Next one is it cools the leaf surface. So maintaining 15 to 20 degree or 10 to 15 degree, up to 10 to 15 degree. So it cools the leaf surface. When the temperature is high in the summer, the plant surfaces get cooled because excessive transpiration occurs and that cools nearly about 10 to 15 degree. Temperature is brought up in the leaf surface. That way in forest, when we move in the forest, lot of humidity will be there. So when the humidity is more, we feel the horrible hotness. So when we move to the beaches, in the areas where nearby the beaches there is huge humidity is there, so warmer conditions can be felt, that cools the leaf surface. Next, it maintains what? The transpiration maintains turgidity, structure, and also shape and structure of plant body, and also turgidity of cells. See, when the water is more and more, the leaves they are erect, the branches they are widely, branches are spread. Otherwise, what happens? The leaf will drown. The leaves are not sufficiently exposed to the sunlight. When there is more water, the leaves are correctly erectly exposed. The plant will stand erect. When the water is less within the plant body, the plant start wilting. So it maintains the shape and structure when more water is there. When transpiration maintains the shape and structure within the plant body, and also it maintains turgidity in the cells. So the cells absorb more and more water. When the cells are turgid, the plants are in healthy condition. So that maintains shape and structure. If the photosynthesis, that is when the water is limited, photosynthesis get limited. Water is limited, photosynthesis gets limited. So humidity in the forest, humidity of forest, humidity of the forest, that is why due to transpiration only. When you might have felt while moving in the forest or while moving in the beaches, what happens in the forest? So there is a water cycling is there, water cycling is there. What is water cycle? You know what is water cycle, isn't it? The plants will absorb the water from the soil, and through the xylem, through the xylem it is transported into the leaf. From the leaf it is transpired, that is in the form of water vapor, they are evaporated, and these evaporated water they go and forms the clouds, and again they come back into the soil in the form of a rain. So in the forest, that huge humidity, and these forests due to transpiration they maintain that huge humidity can be felt in the forest, and that causes the water cycle. So water cycling occurs due to that transpiration. Not only the ocean water, evaporation of the ocean waters, not only it also contribute for the formation of the clouds and rains, but half of the water is evaporated, soil water is evaporated by the plants. So that humidity of forest due to transpiration and this water loss. And next point, coming to, there are two different types of plants, isn't it? C3 and C4 plants. I'll drop this, very important. C3, later on you will come to know in photosynthesis what are C3 plants and what are C4 plants. In brief, we shall discuss about this C3 and C4 plants. C4 plants and C3 plants. So the first product that is produced in this plant is a C4 compound or a C4 acid. That's why it is called as 4 carbons are present to that product. Here the product that is produced in the C3 plants, the first stable, that is product that is produced in this cycle is a C3. Understand? So later on we will come to oxaloacetic acid is the thing, and here the 3 carbon compound that is produced in the Kelvin cycle, that we will come to know. C4 plants means these are better than the C3 plants. C4 are better than C3 plants. Why they are better? So they uses C4 plants uses less water than C3 plants. So less than half the water what the C3 plants uses, that half of the water is utilized by the C4 plants, and the productivity is more in C4. C4 plants produce more productivity. Productivity means what? That is the food, in fixing the food, than C3 plants. In productivity also they can fix more large amount of food during photosynthesis. By using less amount of carbon dioxide, they can manufacture more food. The sugar cane, understand? One example, the sugar cane plant, C4 plant, C3 plants, all these other plants are C3 plants. They simply utilize the water, more and more water is utilized, and the water is evaporated, and less amount of food is manufactured in the C3 plants. And during the course of evolution, the C4 plants have been evolved to utilize less amount of carbon dioxide, to utilize less amount of water, and to manufacture large amount of food. So that's why the C4 plants are better than the C3 plants. Later on in detail we shall discuss in the coming chapters in photosynthesis about the C3 pathway is there, C4 pathway, what is Hatch and Slack pathway, we call it as C4 pathway, another one C3 pathway, that is Kelvin cycle. Okay children, I think you understood about the concept, how the water is transported, what makes the ascent of sap in the xylem. Okay, thank you.